Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live in living color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. Welcome back to another edition of the show, another holiday season filled edition of Grande's Graveyard. We're live, we're in living color, and we're chilling like villains like Bob Dylan here on this frosty December 9th. Thursday night. How are we, everybody? Are we doing Gucci Poochie? I hope we are, because tonight we are diving into something a little bit different. Not Christmas horror movies, not winter-themed horror movies, but Christmas-themed horror television. Yes, I'm super excited to get into these tonight. I'm really excited because a lot of these are things I've been wanting to talk about for the longest time. And, you know, instead of doing a specific show on a series, I figured why not do all of the Christmas themed horror episodes in different respected television series. So that's where the whole idea for this came up. I'm going to be discussing 4 different television episodes from 4 different television series, horror Christmas related, if you will. And I'm really excited to be doing that tonight. James Mawson, easy. Ho, I'm here. What's going on, good brother? Happy December. Happy month of Xmas, if you will. It's also the month of my birthday, which is really cool. Big December guy. What's up, brother? I'm sitting here with my daughter watching along with you, and she asked who you are. No way! Dude, that's crazy, man. I remember having you on for episode number 3 when we talked John Carpenter's Halloween, and she wasn't even born yet. So that's absolutely crazy. Cheers to your daughter. Cheers to you, Mr. Snyder. Hope all is well with you tonight. I hope you're drinking eggnog. Clean eggnog, buddy, okay? Granted, I forgot to buy eggnog today, so I am very sorry to everybody because, you know, people probably, I don't know if people care, but I always usually drink eggnog on the Christmas, December holiday episodes, but I've got something just as good, if not better. Yes, it's some OG Mountain Dew, just like my pants, OG Mountain Dew. Oh yeah, we got the Christmas colors. We got red, we got green, and we got absolutely zero regrets tonight in the graveyard. So I'm going to pour some of this. I know I apologize about the eggnog. I'm planning to have eggnog next week. I got home from work today and I was like, shit, like I forgot the eggnog, man. Like I'm doomed. So, you know, when I got in, I was like, all right, you know what? It's too cold to be going back out. I don't want my balls chattering together. I figured, screw it. I'm just going to be drinking some Mountain Dew all night on the graveyard, baby. And that's kind of what has to suffice. I'm sipping on a Mad Elf, but I do love me some delicious eggnog. Dude, me too. I had a Stu Leonard's eggnog last week, and it was fantastic. It was thick, it was creamy, delicious. I absolutely enjoyed the fuck out of it, man. It was delicious. So cheers to you, man. Aiden Babber's in the Heezy. Hello, everybody. Aiden, what's going on, brother? I love the waffle bat avatar. That's amazing. Harold and Kumar Christmas, of course, is what that's from. I absolutely love Roald D. and Kumar, one of my favorite comedy trilogies of all time. Misfit number 1, aka Good Brother Andrew's in the Heezy. Classic, dude. Can't go wrong. Really enjoy the watermelon flavor. Dude, the watermelon flavor has grown on me so much. Like the first time I tried it, I was like a little too sugary, a little too strong. And then upon retries, I'm like, I actually have fallen in love with this. Like it's really grown on me, man. I love the watermelon dew. But cheers to you. Cheers to everybody. I see Aiden's drinking some Dr. Pepper at the moment. So cheers to that. I love me some Dr. Pepper. One of my top 5 sodas. Absolutely. Cheers, everybody. Cheers to a wonderful, safe weekend. Oh man, can't beat the dew. And I apologize for the nog. That trilogy is amazing. Absolutely. You have to love the Harold and Kumar movies. I love all 3 of them. They're great. Hey, brother, having an eggnog latte, coffee with eggnog. Ooh, very cool. Now, let me ask, homemade, or is that something like you get at Starbucks or Dunkin'? That sounds like an AJ Zitro concoction in the kitchen, if you will, in La Cocina. That sounds like something you would do there. I don't know, though. I'm not positive. So let me know. Tell me your secret, because I'm not a big coffee guy, but coffee and nog, that just gets me intrigued. For Christmas this year, I got my uncle a Tales from the Crypt shirt that has a picture from episode 2, season 1, and all through the house. That's funny you say that, James, because the first story, the first episode of television Christmas Yuletide horror of the evening tonight is just that same episode. So I guess that's a perfect transition to, our first topic of the night, episode 1 of the night. Mixed decaf coffee with Dean's low-fat nog. Wow. You're an evil genius, man. I love it, man. You're like Professor Honeydew cooking up some concoctions in the kitchen, man. I love it. Miss C is in the heezy. Hey, Grande, I like the tour hat. Dude, Miss C, how are you? Cheers. Cheers tonight. What you drinking? We're drinking some Mountain Dew. I forgot to buy the nog, but AJ Zitro's got us. He's drinking some low-fat decaf mixed coffee nog, which is badass if you ask me. But I guess we can dive right into this. Of course, we've got 4 Christmas horror-themed episodes to discuss, and this one is got to be one of the most famous. And it's funny. This was technically a remake of a segment from the original 1972 movie Tales from the Crypt, of course. And of course, based on the short story that was in the Chambers of Horror, the Vault of Horror, I believe, volume number 35, which goes for dumb money. If you eBay that, look at how much the original story of this and the original EC comics go for. It's insane money, which I'd love to have it. It's amazing artwork. But this is Tales from the Crypt, of course, season 1, episode 2, as James Moss said. This is an all through the house. Yes. Now, the first thing I have to mention before the plot is look at the names involved with this episode. It's directed by Robert Zemeckis, who has made so many awesome little Christmas movies. Of course, he's the man behind The Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey. He's, of course, behind The Polar Express. He's made great non-Christmas horror movies. I mean, not Christmas horror movies, but he's also the director of a little movie called Forrest Gump, which is one of my all-time faves. It was produced by Richard Donner, who, I mean, we all love Richard Donner. Music by fucking Alan Silvestri. If you've seen a little movie called Predator, you've heard that awesome music from Alan Silvestri. We love Alan Silvestri. Cinematographer, director of photography, Dean Cundy. Like, I don't think you can get a better crew than those guys. I mean, that's just all-star after all-star after all-star, right in the thick of their primes, all of them coming together to make this season 1, episode 2 of the entire series. And all through the house. And it basically tells the story of this woman on Christmas Eve. She murders her husband with a fire poker. He's like, just give it to me. Whack! Merry Christmas, you son of a bitch. Very colorful. And as the wife is trying to dispose of the body and tuck her kid into bed, she hears the radio broadcast that a murderous, deranged man that is dressed as Santa Claus has escaped the asylum. And of course, he somehow, some way, finds his way to her house, and the episode sort of plays out from there. Now, this is, to me, one of the most important episodes in the Tales from the Crypt series. And when I say that, if you realize the first season is very brief. I believe it's only 5 or 6 episodes. It's very brief season. And I think the reason for that is HBO at the time was, not positive if they wanted to pick up this series as a whole. So they said, hey, we'll license you to do a pilot. We'll license you to do 5 episodes. And then you got to go from there. We will make a decision from there. So those 5 episodes, they better pack some kind of a punch, or we may never have gotten the Tales from the Crypt series that we did. Of course, we always would have had the movie from 1972. We always would have had the EC comics from the 1950s. However, the show from the 80s that bled into the early 90s and really was one of those shows that established HBO before The Sopranos came along. It was based on these 5 episodes. And to me, of the first 5, this is the best one. And it is an absolute masterpiece of an episode. Of course, let's get to some of your comments. Meant your hat, LOL, don't drink much, just finished a Diet Dew. You finished a Diet Dew? Freaking A, I love Mountain Dew. The old EC comic books from the 50s has cost lots of money these days. Dude, they go for insane bread. I saw one on eBay. It had like pages missing, and it still went for like $7,000. Like it's missing pages. Like, how do you, like, I don't get how you would determine the value there. Heart. Is that Zaddy? Is that King Negor? Dude, it is. It just must be. It must be the luckiest man on earth because he got his severance stuff in before I even got a goddamn shipping notification. So she is very greedily. Yes. I love the lead actress in this, Mary Ellen Trainor. She's very colorful and very over the top, as is Larry Drake, who's playing the killer Santa here. Of course, you may remember Larry Drake from movies like Dr. Giggles. He does a great job in this as the creepy Santa. They give him a really, really cool design. With these messed up teeth and the kind of deranged. He crosses his eyes a lot, and he's got the axe, and it's a very intimidating killer Santa. But what I like about this episode really is how 80s it is and how loud it is. Because if you watch the 1972 version, that works for completely different reasons to me. The 1972 version, in comparison, I think is a little bit better. Because the 72 version, it's a little bit slower. It builds up its atmosphere. It builds up its tension. It takes a while till you get to the payoff. And that's really, I think, what the 1970s was as a whole. You know, they took a little bit more of their time. Like if you watch a slasher like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then you fast forward to one of the Friday the 13th sequels, you have very different styles of pacing. And in the 70s, it was a little bit slower. It was a little bit more, gradual. There's some great jump scares in the original version, which is only like 12 minutes long. You can watch it here on YouTube, the original version with Joan Collins, which I won't lie, I do prefer it a little bit to this episode. But I think the reason why this episode stands out so much is because it is a product of its time. It is very 1980s. What do I mean by that? Right off the bat, you have a great special makeup effect. You have Marshall Bell, who, of course, he plays, the father in Stand By Me. He's also the gym coach in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. He's the weird gym coach that Freddy kills in the shower, Marshall Bell. Love him. I think he's great. He gets whacked over the fucking head with this fire poker right off the bat and just kind of splits his head down the middle. And then the kid, Daddy, good night. And she's like, why won't Daddy say goodnight to me? The mother, get into bed, bitch. Like, get in there, man. I love that, man. Goddamn, that's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. I'm just finishing up some effed up stuff late night. Oh, excellent, man. I'm sure you're going to do an excellent job with that. I know those are a long time coming. Usually it's effed up November, but this time, effed up December, baby. It's just like Silent Night, Deadly Night. Yes, this is very much more in that vein. It's more like Silent Night, Deadly Night. And I think it works because of that. True confession time, I've never watched an episode of Tales, never had HBO in the heyday. Wow, that's actually mind-blowing, man. Now, if you're interested, you can watch this full episode on YouTube for free. So anybody and everybody, you can all check this out if you have not seen it. I highly recommend. I think it's really, really good stuff. And I really do think, like what I was saying before, it's one of the most important episodes of the series, because without it, I don't know if this series would have had the life, that the rest of the series was able to produce. And, I love the intro with the Crypt Keeper himself. He's dressed as Santa. Ho, 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 kiddies. And I just adore that. I love that. We're in for the season of holiday fear. Cheer. John Kassir as the Crypt Keeper was just absolutely fantastic because, in a world where we had Twilight Zones introduced by Rod Serling, who was very sophisticated and could be creepy at times, could teach us lessons at times. We had, of course, Paul Sparrow do the Tales from the Darkside. Man lives in the sunlit world of what he believes to be reality, but very haunting voice Paul Sparrow had. But the Crypt Keeper was almost like a anthology television horror host version of Freddy Krueger. Funny, delighting, almost like the Creeper too from Creepshow. Hello, kiddies. Very similar kind of, energy to that host character. And I love John Kassir as the Crypt Keeper. This is also the first episode of the series where he says the actual name of the episode and all through the house. There's some really good sequences done in this by Robert Zemeckis, of course. There's a scene where she's taking the husband out of the house and she wants to throw him down this well, similar version to, The Ring. And she's trying to put him in the well. She takes the plastic bag off. She knows the killer's out there, the killer Santa. She's looking around. And as an audience, you're sort of waiting for the Santa to kind of jump. And nothing happens. Instead, when she goes to grab him, he kind of wakes up from his death and grabs her. She's like, oh shit. It's a very well done jump scare. You never see it coming. You're just waiting for Larry Drake to show up. And instead, doing the kind of false scare of Marshall Bell, oh my God, puts your guard down. And when she does turn around, finally, there's Larry Drake. Excellent horror execution there. A false scare that leads into a very intimidating scare. and it's really well directed by Robert Zemeckis. That, dare I say, I think Robert Zemeckis would have been a damn good horror filmmaker if he had set his mind to the genre. Now, he wanted to do, in his mind, bigger and better things, and hell, he did bigger and better things, let's be honest. But I would have absolutely adored to see Robert Zemeckis do more horror. And, I love the scope of this episode. That's what Dean Cundey brings to the table. And, the music by Alan Silvestri, I mean, it's all of these things kind of working together cohesively that I think makes this a holiday horror classic. There's a great scene where the mother gets trapped in the closet and she's banging, trying to get out. And you hear somebody place a ladder against the house. And of course, it's Larry Drake, and he's climbing up, and the daughter, Santa, come here. And the way they build that tension, and she's just trying to bust out of the closet. Leave my kid alone. Leave my kid alone. I mean, just fantastic stuff. I mean, it's the 72 version, but on steroids. It's very dialed up. I mean, they dial it up almost not to 11, but to 12. It's very dialed up. There's some good gore. There's some good battle scenes between the mother and the Santa Claus. There's good horror psychology in there. I love that if you were to kill your significant other, and then by some chance, a evil killer Santa Claus was out on the loose, why not blame the murder on him? And she does. I'm going to blame the murder on this guy. I killed the Santa in self-defense because he killed my husband. Bam, she's cleared of the crime, and she can go off scot-free if and only if she can get rid of Larry Drake's Santa Claus. Very cool horror psychology there for me. A very smart character to me, and that adds so much meat to the potatoes for this episode for me. I absolutely love that. I have that particular episode saved to my YouTube playlist, one of my favorites. Me too, Missy. I love to watch this around the winter time, and I like to watch the original version with Joan Collins as well. I think it's slightly scarier. Like, if you were to ask me, like, which was the better of the two, I would say the 72 version because it's just so raw and it's so 70s. And you watch that's everything of why 1970s horror works. And then if you watch this is every reason why 1980s horror works. It's a little bit more over the top. It's a little bit more gratuitous. It's a little bit more violent. It has a little bit more of volume added. And that's why I really like this episode. And I think, coming full circle, this was really, at the time, one of the most important episodes of the series, if not the most, because who knows if it ever would have got renewed if it wasn't for an episode like this, a standout first season episode. That little girl is also cute. She was in Back to the Future Part 2. That's right. She was. She's adorable in this. She's like, why won't daddy say hi to me? And I love that scene where he's trying to grab her. She's like, come up to bed. Like, that's a great laugh, man. It has a great sense of humor, this episode. It's in on the joke. It's not, too serious. It's kind of just playing it, and you're just supposed to enjoy the ride. And I appreciate that. The only episode of Tales from the Crypt I have watched was Toby Hooper's Dead Weight episode, and it was fantastic. No, that is a good one. I know Robert Zemeckis also directed the one with Kirk Douglas. I think towards the end of season 3 or season 4. That's a really good one. See, it's funny. Tales from the Crypt, there's so many I remember, but like it's not a series I own. I wish I did own it. I honestly am waiting for a Blu-ray of the series to be released. I mean, Tales from the Darkside, I understand why there probably will never be a Blu-ray because it's not a show that looked particularly good when it's shot. But Tales from the Crypt, they had a budget. They had like serious producers, serious filmmakers, serious money to work with. They had a budget. These on Blu-ray would look fantastic. I don't know why. I think it's rights issues that they're not on HBO Max streaming, and they're not on Blu-ray. You can still only get the DVD versions until that Blu-ray version, or it's streaming on HBO Max and HD. I'm gonna hold off. But I also remember the one with Brad Pitt, and he's fucking like the farmer's daughter. I love that one. I love the one, nobody ever mentions this. It's the one where Sam Kinison, he's like in the mind of, who the hell? I forget the actor, but it's like basically the guy has like Sam Kinison's in his head telling him to do crazy shit. That's a great one. If you love Sam Kinison, that's just a great episode. The Master of Fear is here. What's going on, good brother? Yo, Santa slashing. You got me, brother. Cheers to you, man. Nigor, in and out, just showing love. Dude, thank you so much. John Steele, you are the man, dude. Cheers for you, man. Absolute cheers for you. Cheers for Mr. John Steele. Steel. We have to have a steel cage match, baby. Robert Zemeckis' wife was in the Christmas episode. Was that Robert Zemeckis' wife? This lady's Robert Zemeckis' wife. I didn't know that. James Moss hit me with some knowledge. I had no clue this was Robert Zemeckis' wife. Wow, that's nuts. A lot of up-and-coming stars are very young stars. Yes, that's the thing. You watch a show like this, at the time Freddy's Nightmares was going on. There's also an episode of that with Brad Pitt in it. Of course, Cutting Class was around 1988. I believe this was released, I think 88, and then the Tales from the Darkside one was like 86. That's a big reason I like to go back and rewatch these. And the Twilight Zone as well. Like, you see Burgess Meredith in a bunch of them. You'll see Jack Klugman in a bunch of them. There's so many good ones. Really, really good ones. Hey, Internet, it's Eric here. What's going on, good brother? Cheers to you tonight, brother. I love the one with Don Rickles as the ventriloquist and Bobcat Goldthwait was his biggest fan. Dude, that is a great one. There's so many, like, under the radar. Of course, Cutting Cards with Lance Henriksen, the two guys betting over everything. I love that one. There's a ton of great Tales from the Crypt. It's blasphemy to me that this has not a Blu-ray release, in my opinion. Lori Petty was in an episode of Freddy's Nightmares. Was she? I don't remember that. Granted, Freddy's Nightmares, that's another one. I don't even think there's a DVD release of Freddy's Nightmares, which is a shame. Tales from the Crypt, my Goosebumps, because most of the other kids were watching Goosebumps when I was watching Tales from the Crypt. Now, I love Goosebumps, don't get me wrong, but Tales from the Crypt is greater, and that's awesome. That makes your childhood that much better than everybody else's. And I don't get me wrong, I like Goosebumps too, but Tales from the Crypt was where it was at. And I yearn for a Blu-ray special edition of this series. Rest in peace. Dude, Sam Kinison was one of the greatest stand-up comics of all time, in my opinion. Just I don't worry about terrorism. I was married for 2 years. And the guy was money, man. So animated, so loud, so in your face. The screaming, the outfit, like the trench coat and the fucking hair everywhere. And I loved Sam Kinison. I remember marking out as a kid when I saw that episode of him. I'm like, yo, Sam Kinison? Is that really his voice? Like, just going crazy. I love Sam Kinison as a stand-up comedian. Definitely in my top 10 stand-up comics of all time. I mean, the guy was amazing. Love Kinison. Yeah, I loved him too, man. And he was taken from us way too goddamn soon. Sam Kinison played Al Bundy's guardian angel once. One of my favorite episodes ever of that show. Yes, that's right. That's what I was mentioning. I love Sam Kinison's so good in the show. I forget what season it's from. This is one of those where with Twilight Zone, if you say an episode, I could tell you what season. Tales from the Darkside, same thing. I could tell you what season. Tales from the Crypt, I get mixed up. But the first season I know because it's only like 5 episodes. The rest I get kind of discombobulated. The Crypt Keeper stole Chucky's eyes. Yes, he did. But I don't know. I love the Crypt Keeper. John Cassier is great. But that's all. And All Through the House. I love it. I think it's a Christmas classic. Like I said, it's everything about the 1980s and horror that went together and worked. And so many great names collaborating and making one of the most, important episodes of that entire series. I love All Through the House. One of my favorite Christmas horror television episodes. And one I really wanted to mention on here. So that's that one. So next up, I didn't know how to like space these out because there's 4 of them. So I don't know. I'm just going to kind of randomize it here. The next one I watched just the other night, and it was my first time watching this in the longest time. I used to love this show as a kid. And man, like every time I rewatch an episode, it takes me back there to being a kid watching this show and just loving everything about it. And this is the episode from season 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is season 3, episode 10. This is Amends. Yes, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Amends. This is a little bit of a plot synopsis I give. As the Christmas holiday approaches, Angel is tormented by evil apparitions who want him to eliminate Buffy. Yes, Amends. Now, rewatching this episode, it really, like I said, it brought me back, but it also kind of opened my eyes to how different horror television was in the late 90s. Because, of course, everything was very neo with horror films in the theater. And, of course, Sarah Michelle Gellar right in the thick of that, being in movies like Scream 2, being in movies like I Know What You Did Last Summer. Of course, the actor who plays Angel, he was in a little movie called Valentine, which came out after this. Allison Hannigan was in American Pie, and Seth Green was really blowing up at the time in movies like Party at Monster and stuff. Of course, Eliza Dushku would go on to be in movies like Wrong Turn. This era for the genre was very interesting to me. And right in the middle of it, you have one of my favorite shows ever created by Josh Whedon, of course, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And this is a really cool episode, an episode where I think it's very sentimental. It has a lot of over the top heart in it, but that's sort of why I love it, because Buffy could do anything. Buffy could be kick-ass. Buffy could be funny, but Buffy also could be dramatic and sentimental. And it never rarely went out of line with it. And this is an episode I think is no exception. Basically, Angel is having these visions of wanting to kill Buffy, and he has this demon lady telling him, egging him on, you've got to kill her, you've got to kill her. Some of the character interactions on this show are just fantastic. Of course, Seth Green and Allison Hannigan, they have this kind of romantic night where Allison Hannigan is ready to give up her virginity to him, and he comes in. She's fucking chilling, candlelights and everything, blasting Barry White on the fucking speakers. He's just like, yo, what the fuck? Who are you? What did you do with my girlfriend, man? Funny shit, as they have this great character interaction on the couch of her saying, I know you want this, and then he's saying, listen, I don't want you to be uncomfortable. Really good stuff. And I know people probably be like, Grande, you're such a fucking sucker for sap, but this particular scene I just loved. I thought Seth Green and Allison Hannigan had amazing chemistry on this show. I really like, there's a scene where he stands up and she gets up and she goes, I'm ready. And he goes, I'm going to sit back down now. And they both just sit back down. I mean, it's just fantastic. Of course, Eliza Dushku plays Faith. She's sort of the rebel against the grain in this show, and a voluptuous woman. She has better things to do on Christmas night. Bullshit. She says she's going to this party. No way, baby. She's coming to chill with Buffy. And Eliza, just in case, you don't want to spend the holidays with Buffy, you are always welcome at my goddamn house. Because if Dusty Rhodes was here, he'd probably say something like this. Baby, let me tell you something. Eliza douche cool, baby. Let me tell you something. You can roll up a chair next to the American Dream. We're going to drink eggnog till dawn, daddy. We're going to drink douche cool eggnog and watch the Pittsburgh Steelers all night long. Daddy, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, he going to save Christmas. And Eliza douche cool, baby, you going to save mine, if you will, daddy. I love Eliza Dushku. I mean, one of the most beautiful women, in my opinion, of all time. Just absolutely fucking like a 20 out of 10 for me. Just a beautiful woman. I love Eliza Dushku. And I liked her character on the show. Sort of the foil to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She's, I'm too good to spend Christmas with you. And then, of course, she gives in. Like, it's one of those episodes where all the characters is very sappy. It's very fucking sappy. And, like, people, I know there probably people be, like, making fun of me. Like, I remember over that in the past, Wes from Dead Pit, he would make fun of Uncle Bill for having the fucking Buffy the Vampire Slayers, like the DVDs hidden behind the TV, because he felt that he was like ashamed of being a fan of the show. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a different type of the genre. Like, it is a very heartfelt, show. There's a lot of great characters, and whether it be Charisma Carpenter's character, I really always liked her. I thought she was great, and then she went on to do Angel, which is another really good show. Josh Whedon has a great knack for writing good characters, and this Christmas episode of Buffy is no exception. I really liked the final scene where Angel, he's waiting at the peak of the mountain, and he's waiting for the sunrise to kill himself because he doesn't want to kill Buffy. And Buffy is, please, come back and don't be a coward, and we can fight this together. And he's like, Buffy, if I don't do this, I will end up killing you. I don't want to do that. And she sort of gives him this whole speech of, there's something that's interesting about a man, and that's sometimes if you have the man, the old school story, I forget what the fucking name of it is, but it's the biblical story of the man pushing a boulder up a mountain, and every single time when he gets to the top, it rolls back down. And what makes a great man is if he goes back or if he just stands up there and gives up. And every single time she says, you're the one to go back and keep pushing until you succeed, and that's who you are. And if you just stand here and you die in the sun, she goes, I don't know, if I can't convince you, I don't know who can. And there's just this very sappy scene where he looks at her and he realizes she's right, and the snow starts to fall, and like everybody from the fucking show, they walk outside and it's snowing in fucking LA, and it's fucking cheesy. Like, even I was like, oh golly, like just one of those, like, I'm gonna like just immediately like, Jesus, like who the hell greenlit this? But that's why I like Buffy. It's not afraid to go there. There's a lot of people just go, oh, fuck that. But I like it. I think it's kind of nice. It's kind of sweet to have the heart there. This show had a lot of heart. Joss Whedon as a filmmaker, as a writer, as a producer, he's a guy that brings a lot of heart to the table. And Sarah Michelle Gellar just owns this role. Whether it be the one-liners and the attempts of humor and just never going too far over the top in one way or the other. Buffy the Vampire Slayer was always fucking cool to me. I absolutely love her in this. I think she does a great job. I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. She's fantastic. I was just going to say that, but Internet Eric beat me to a Kinnison 2 part was from season 4. Okay, that's right. Okay, season 4. Excellent. The only vampire slayer I need is Blade. Well, I love Blade too. Blade's awesome. You like my Dusty impersonation? The douche cool, baby. We can sit here tonight. We can watch Wrong Turn 1 and 2. Dead End, baby. Let me tell you something. We were drinking eggnog with nutmeg till the sun rises, if you will. And Angel falls. An angel evaporates in the sun, baby, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, we're going to be crying, and we're going to invite her over for a beef dinner, if you will. I have all the seasons of Married with Children on Christmas night. I'll get out all the Christmas episodes and play them. That's amazing. That's really cool little tradition. I know some people that do that with The Simpsons and the Tree Houses of Horror episodes. Cheese. It is cheese. It is very much so cheese. But I don't know, man. I sort of love it. I sort of love this show. I got to go now. Bye now and Merry Christmas. James Moss, Merry Christmas to you too, my friend, and to all a good night. But yeah, no, I really enjoy this episode of Buffy. Has a little bit of everything that makes this show work. It's got some cool action scenes, some cool gore, a very interesting sex scene between Angel and Buffy. I mean, the very overly sappy, sentimental ending where the snow is falling where it never could, and it just has everything that I love about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I really like this show, and it's one that, I haven't watched in a long time, to be honest, this particular episode. But it was fun to go back and rewatch for this. I really like this. This is the episode Amends. And if you have Amazon Prime Video, you can watch this one for free as well. It's another really, really good one. A keeper for sure. Dude, Robert Simeon's in the Heezy. I love Buffy. Dude, I'll drink to that. Long live Buffy the fucking Vampire Slayer. I love her. Absolutely love Buffy. Sarah Michelle Gellar. So here's one though for the chat before we get into the next episode. Sarah Michelle Gellar or Christy Swanson? Who's the better Buffy? Now, I think most people are going to say Sarah Michelle Gellar, but I can't sell Christy Swanson short because I love Christy Swanson as well. But cheers to you, Robert. Welcome to the show tonight. With that being said, I guess we can sort of delve into our next episode, right? I mean, we can do it. This, of course. This is a very interesting one. It's funny enough, we just talked about season 3, episode 10 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is season 3, episode 11 of a little 1980s anthology horror television series called Tales from the Darkside, which I put over abundance of times on this show. I have merchandise, I have hats, t-shirts. I've done a top 13 countdown list with my good buddy, the Elm Street Warrior. That was a couple years ago. I'm a mark for Tales from the Darkside. And amazingly enough, now I didn't never really realize this until recently, but this particular episode I'm going to talk about tonight by fans is the highest rated episode of the entire series, which I think is very interesting. And it is the episode Seasons of Belief. Yes, from 1986. On Christmas Eve, a father ends his 2 children's boredom by holding them spellbound with a scary story about a fearsome beast known as the Grither. Yes. Seasons of Belief. Now, this is an episode I will never forget the first time I watched as a child and being absolutely horrified. Now, this was back in the day when Sci-Fi Channel would actually show. They used to do the 24-hour Twilight Zone marathons on the 4th of July and Christmas and New Year's Eve. But they'd also do marathons, random ones, of Tales from the Darkside. And this was always one of my favorite episodes as a kid because it just scared the shit out of me. And to me, it was the whole psychology of the beast and the entity known as the Grither. Now, I pulled this up here. It's like a little bit of a telltale about the Grither. I thought this was interesting. At first, the Grither seems to be made-up story by very creative parents who seem to tell tall tales to their children. The Grither was born on a sailing ship that got lost in the Arctic Sea. They drifted about for weeks, but saw nothing except icebergs and glaciers. Some passengers drowned or froze to death or committed suicide. The Grither was born out of the rage of all those people who died. And no one knows why the Grither kills. The Grither is a fearsome, dangerous, and appalling creature that lives at the North Pole. And the more times you say the Grither's name out loud, he hears you, and he will come closer and closer. Because he doesn't like to hear himself being talked about a lot. No, he has a very good hearing. And those ears get bigger every time his name is spoken anywhere on the planet Earth. He lives in the coldest, wettest cave on Earth on the other side of Santa Claus's workshop. The Grither lives in a ship that somehow got stuck inside the cave but doesn't like to be cold or wet. The Grither is so named because he has fists as big as basketballs and arms as long as a boa constrictor's. And whenever he finds the person who has used his name in vain, he grithers them in. He is tall as a poplar, sorry, I fucked that up. But he can bend all the way around and touch the ground. His skin looks like a road map, and when he's white, his veins shine through. The blue is for fear, the red for rage. And not only do the Grither's ears grow bigger whenever you mention him, but they become extremely large and can be used for flight. The Grither is not to be confused with either the Bigfoot or the Abominable Snowman. No! The only people who have ever seen the Grither are those the Grither has eaten. The Grither sings a song when he approaches his victims. And I'm not going to sing the fucking song. I think I've been animated enough with this. But I freaking love that whole origin story. Basically, the whole premise of the episode, like I said, E.G. Marshall, which we'll get into that, but I'll give the plot synopsis first. E.G. Marshall plays the parent of these two young kids. They're knocking Christmas. I don't like stories like Rudolph. I don't like Frosty. And the mother is telling them to behave. And he says, why don't we tell them that story of the Grither? Of course, the Grither in similar vein to, monsters that we got to know like Candyman. And of course, a guy like Madman, if you say his name above a whisper, or if you say his name 5 times in the mirror, that horror out there will come to get you. And it's through the fear of these children that they take a fictional monster and believe it to the point where that monster becomes real and becomes, an actual entity in real life. It's fantastic writing. It's fantastic storytelling. And it's anything I love about a great old school campfire horror tale. And it harkens back to the classic like H.P. Lovecraft. Tell me about the creature. Show me, but let me use my own brain to kind of picture what the Grither looks like. And the smartest thing this episode does, we never see the Grither. We only see its arms and its hands that are big as basketballs and long as the boa constrictor. But we never see the actual Grither. We don't see the big ears, which would have probably looked goofy. We don't see the face. We don't see any of that stuff. We're able to really picture that with our minds. And that's why I love the genre sometimes, whether it be movies like The Blair Witch Project, or whether it be, stories from H.P. Lovecraft. I always remember the H.P. Lovecraft story where it was the 2 kids and one of them went down into the grave. Like he went down into the grave site and one of them stayed on top and they both had walkie-talkies. And the other one is explaining what he's seeing. But we never see or encounter what the kid saw. We just hear his talkie go black and that's it. And you give us all of these describing words like the Grither tale does. But again, we never are exposed to what the Grither is. And I think that's a really smart way to take a horror anthology episode. Because Tales from the Darkside, let's face it, they didn't have a big budget for any of these episodes. Of course, you've got Richard P. Rubenstein's name on these. You've got George A. Romero's name on these. You've got some great horror names involved with this. Of course, William Tietler. This one is also directed by, I want to get his name, Michael McDowell. This was the only episode he ever directed, but he did write quite a few episodes. I wish the guy had directed more because he really got the genre, in my opinion. Again, like we were saying last week with Dante Tomaselli, he was a guy that accentuated the positives, hid the negatives. That's what he does here. If they had shown a Grither, like an entire, a big special effect, sure, it's the 1980s. Could it have been pulled off by a Greg Nicotero? Could it have been pulled off by a Rob Bottin? Could it have been pulled off by a Kevin Yeager? Absolutely, it could have been. But sometimes the genre, when you don't have the money to afford guys like that, I think the creativity of your story becomes that much more important. And the grither, the whole story, and the fear that these children kind of derive from the story alone builds up a legend that no special makeup effect, no practical monster could have ever lived up to. And that's why I think Seasons of Belief is the highest rated Tales from the Darkside episode. I completely get why people get into this one. Of course, the song, The Grither. How the fuck does the song go? I am the Grither, you cannot escape me. Really good, just creepy as they're playing the piano and kind of building the tension. And I love how they have this lingering shot as the kids are sort of backing up. They're afraid. First these kids seem fearless, and then all of a sudden now they truly believe in this Grither. Now, a couple of funny things about this episode right off the bat that just boggles my mind. E.G. Marshall, who you may remember from Creepshow, he plays the guy, the millionaire in the building with all the cockroaches, and they come out, eat outside of him. Just amazing special makeup effect there by Tom Savini. He also was in Christmas Vacation, which was around this time, I think a year or so after this. He plays the father. Now, at the time, he was like 72 years old. The one playing the mother was like a couple weeks short of 34. So these motherfuckers were like 38 years age difference. And it's so noticeable. They're like, Daddy, and these like two kids that are under 10. It's just like, goddamn, like, did this guy just take 2 fucking bottles of Viagra to get it up for this lady and pump out 2 kids? Like, what the hell? Like, it's so horribly noticeable. Like, he just should have been the grandfather. It's just odd. Like, they kiss at one point. I'm like, yo, this is fucking uncomfortable. Like, the woman, the woman playing the wife, you're a trooper. Like, that's fucking odd. I would have been like, yo, does anybody find this weird that this guy's 40 fucking years old, older than me? Like, that's just a little odd, in my opinion. But I don't know. She was a trooper. And I think E.G. Marshall does a good job at telling the story and kind of building the legend. And, I really enjoy the payoff of this episode. There's a great scene where the wind, it blows the door open. And everybody is taken down. The tree falls over. I mean, everybody's selling the wind. The little boy closes the door, and the little girl, Mommy, was that the Grither? No, honey, it was just the wind. All of a sudden, crash, like Stone Cold Steve Austin glass break as these giant arms bust through the windows and grab both the parents and crack their necks right in front of their children. And they're just like, oh my God. And the little girl, it was the, don't say the name. It wasn't Santa Claus. As they have this fantastic shot of mother and father who told this daring tale, dead in the chairs, and their daughter just standing right in between them, avoiding the windows because she knows that the Grither can Grither her in. Horror done perfectly, in my opinion. It's really a masterpiece of an episode because it does everything right. It does everything that, a low-budget horror anthology episode should do. Number one, it uses creativity. This is not another stalking Santa slasher, which was big at the time, whether it be Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2, whether it be, and All Through the House. There's a lot of Santa slashers out there. And that's a trope that was really wanting to be utilized at this time. But for them to say, hey, let's be creative with this. Let's not just do another set. That's everybody's doing that. Let's create our own Christmas icon of horror and fear. There's Krampus nowadays and even before, but there was stalking, slashing Santas. But this episode introduces us to the Grither. And I just get flabbergasted every time I watch this episode because what a genius creative idea to introduce us in the world to something so innovative and creative. And instead of showing us, they really tell us. And we're, as a horror fan and the viewer, we're able to kind of envision what this thing may look like. Horror done perfectly, in my humble opinion. Miu Blade review. I would love to talk some Blade with you. Normally, I don't get people to talk about him a lot because most people I know don't know him. Really? That's a shame people don't know Blade, man. Blade's great. You're going to die. He going to kill you. I don't know. I figured if I was going to read the origin, I might as well get into it. I have a movie to watch before I go to sleep sleepy night, everyone. If I don't talk to you all again before Merry Christmas. Miss C, rock on. Have a good one. Stay away from the windows, Grande. Hey, man, you got to stay away from the windows, because how many times have I just said the name? You know, you can't say the name. Like, I just love horror like that. I love using creativity, because anybody could tell a story like that. I could right now make up a creature like that, but I love the whole origin, and nobody knows why it kills, and all of these people, they died, and it was born out of their hate and fear, and its rage is the red, and the fear is the blue, and using all of these things to your advantage to make this Christmas icon. Really good stuff. It's funny, it over the years we've seen, and All Through the House get a couple of adaptations. We've seen the one I'm going to talk about next, Night of the Meek, that has got a remake. But they've never tried to remake The Grither, the Seasons of Belief episode of Tales from the Darkside season 3. And I think for good reason, because if they were to do it, I think they'd probably show an entire effect for The Grither. And I can't stress it enough. It wouldn't work. Even if it looked great, it just wouldn't work, because what I have in my head is never what a different special makeup effects guy is going to bring to the table and create with his palette. And that's the thing. That's why I really enjoy this episode. It's really good stuff. Haven't seen the Tales from the Darkside Grither episode. Hopefully it is on YouTube. By the way, Tom, cheers to you, good brother. Charles, the Undead of Night, is in the house. Cheers to you, my friend. I am not positive if it is, because I know Buffy's on Prime. I know it All Through the House is on YouTube. Night of the Meek, which is the next one, I'm not sure if that is either. I don't know. I don't know if Seasons of Belief is, but it's a damn good episode. It's very not talked about, which is weird to me, because Krampus over the years, especially since the Krampus movie came out, Krampus is talked about. Like, people send me Krampus stuff. You don't ever get somebody sending you shit of The Grither, like, never. But I wish they did. Like, I really do, because this is just, to me, a really, really cool little horror tale. And I wish the director had gone on to do more stuff, Michael McDowell. He worked a lot as a writer, but never again as a director. But I thought he did a good job directing this, making this feel scary. There's a good scene where the uncle comes, and he's singing the Grither song. And the kids are terrified. They think it's the Grither at the door. It's just your uncle. I mean, really cool stuff. I like that. The lighting in the episode is very creepy. And considering this was not a big budgeted show, that's saying a lot. There's the final shot where the two parents are dead and the little girl's in the middle. You see the lamp. It's teetered over, and just the light is shining right on her face. I mean, it's really good lighting. I love the final shot. It's really, to me, it's an iconic final shot of this girl seeing her parents dead as at the hands of the Grither. Really good stuff. Will you survive when he arrives? Probably not. Apparently, this story does tell you that the only way to get rid of the Grither is to finish the story. So if you keep, the story going, the more and more you say its name, he's going to arrive and kill you. So you have to finish the story. That's the rules, if you will, of this little horror tale. And I liked that. I thought E.G. Marshall did a good job. Again, a little old for the role. Bizarre that there's a 40-year age difference, and that this guy must have had Viagra to get it up for this bitch and have killed children. But it is what it is. I don't know. Maybe it was one of those things where they had E.G. Marshall, and he was more of a known actor. And they were just like, well, we wrote this for a husband and wife, but fuck it. Like, we'll just do it anyway. So I don't know. They easily could have just made him the grandpa. Like, it easily just could have been that, but I don't know. They didn't go that route. But Seasons of Belief, a very good Tales from the Darkside episode. And if you ask the majority, that seems to be the highest rated episode. Not my personal highest rated. Like, I would put The Last Car over it. I would put Family Reunion over it. There's so many good Tales from the Dark. Inside the Closet. Like, there's a lot of good Tales from the Darkside episodes. But I definitely think this is a great one. Definitely in the top 10 for sure. Quickly finish the story, Grande. The end. I'm safe. The Grither cannot get me now until I start the next story about the Grither. That'll be next Christmas. But that is Seasons of Belief, a great Tales from the Darkside episode. Highly recommend. And that brings us to our final episode of this episode of Grande's Graveyard. And this is from the original Twilight Zone series, of course, my favorite television show of all time. And actually, towards the end of this month, I was thinking of doing like a top 5 underrated Twilight Zone episodes, and having Jeff, the doctor of Cabinet of Dr. Howdy. He does his own show with AJ's been on, and I mean, he's a really cool guy. He's a big Twilight Zone fan. It's his favorite show too. So I was thinking maybe get him on and we each do 5 underrated episodes. So I haven't thrown it out there to him yet, but I want to see maybe if he would be down to do that on the 30th. So that would be cool. So that's definitely up in the air. But for now, we are talking about this episode from season 2, episode 11. If you will. I don't know, something about episode 11 tonight. This is the night of the Meek. Yes, after a derelict Santa Claus is fired on Christmas Eve, he finds a mysterious bag that gives out presents. With the bags, he sets out to fulfill his one wish, to see the less fortunate inherit the bounties of Christmas. Yes, Night of the Meek. Now, a lot of people like, and Jeff is actually, it's funny because this is the reason I thought to have him on. This is his favorite episode of the Twilight Zone. This is his all-time favorite episode of the show, and I think that's really interesting. Of course, this was from season 2, and this is notable for a few reasons. Number one, it's one of the 6 episodes from season 2 that they shot not on film but on video. Of course, if you're a fan of the series, the Twilight Zone was shot mostly on 35 millimeter film. So therefore, when you convert it to Blu-ray, it looks great. I mean, it looks like you're literally watching a 20-minute short film. It's a really good looking show. It really benefits from the HD format. However, to cut costs in season 2, Rod Serling had to shoot 6 of the 29 episodes on video. This ends up being one of the lucky 6 that was shot on video. Now, while part of me wishes it was shot on film because this was a bigger, grander episode. And from what I've read, this was the hardest one to do shot on video because a lot of the other ones like 22, Will is Dr. Howdy. Oh, I thought his name was Jeff. I don't know why I thought his name was Jeff. Will. Okay, I apologize. Dr. Howdy, I don't know if you're watching, but I messed up your name. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I thought his name was Jeff. But yes, this is Dr. Howdy's favorite episode, and I apologize. But geez, well, this was apparently the hardest one they had to do with shooting, the shot on video style. Part of me wishes I could see this on film, like a version of this on film, but that doesn't take away anything from this episode. If anything, it does add a sort of, because the lead character played by Art Carney, who, everybody remembers from stuff like The Honeymooners. I mean, I love Art Carney. The guy could do drama. The guy could do comedy. The guy was very good actor, and I really like him in this, and he gives a great performance. One of my favorite Twilight Zone performances, I would say, Art Carney as Santa Claus in this episode. He gives this great speech where it's funny. This is like the horror / anthology version of Bad Santa. It's a similar, like the drunken department store Santa that's, too drunk to do the job. Like if this is made today, Billy Bob Thornton would have to play the role. I mean, it would just be too perfect not to do. But there's a great scene where he's all drunk and Santa's loaded, Mom. And they walk away and the manager fires him. And he gives this great emotional speech, like this 2.5-minute speech, where he discusses how he hates what Christmas has become. It's become people marching up and down the aisles and shoving each other out of the way. And he says he wishes for just once that the meek could shine through and those less fortunate could get the things that they don't just want, but the things they need. And he says, that's why I drink. I drink because of the pain of those people. I drink for the less fortunate. And he storms out of there and he's sitting and just, wallowing in his sorrows. And I love, there's another great emotional scene where these 2 kids, they're like, Santa, please, I want this, I want that. And they keep, if you notice, they ask him for all the things that he could never, maybe a toy, the guy could find a couple of dollars and buy it for them. But she's like, can you give my daddy a job this Christmas? Can you do this for my family? And it goes to show you how important Santa Claus is to children. I mean, and I remember as a kid, when you do believe, I mean, it is a magical fucking thing. And the Grither is a perfect example. I mean, when you believe, these things can, kind of come to the forefront. There's a great, he's walking in the alley, he finds this bag of garbage, what he seems to think, and all of a sudden it becomes all of these special gifts, and he gives it out to all of these people in the town, all of the things that they desire. This one man, he can't walk, he gives him a cane. This one, the manager that fires him, I want a bottle of 1903 cherry brandy. pulls it right out for him. I mean, fantastic stuff. He is giving back to all of those less fortunate. It's really nice stuff. They remade this episode with Richard Mulligan. Funny enough, AJ Zetro told me this a couple days ago. I never ever knew that. On the 80s Twilight Zone, they did remake this. Before the recording of this, I did not get a chance to view it. I have it in my queue, and I didn't get to watch it. So I really want to, because I'm very interested to see, number one, how a remake of this would turn out. Number two, how it would be shot, not on video. And number three, I would like to see Richard Mulligan's performance. I have not seen it. But AJ said it was pretty good. So and it's on here. So I added it to my watch list. I'm definitely going to watch it. I wanted to watch it because I did compare An All Through the House to the original 72 film, the segment from there. This, I would have liked to compare and contrast, but I honestly haven't seen it. So I don't want to, speak out of my ass with that. But I really like the heart of this episode. And it's funny because in an anthology series where most of the twists and the premises could get dark, this is one that really kind of is a warm-hearted episode, revolving around Christmas and revolving around the theme and the legend of one Santa Claus. I love Art Carney's performance. And this is one of those, I was saying last year where if you watch Christmas Evil, the lead actor, pretty much after the hour mark, it's not like you're watching Brandon McGarth anymore. It's like you're watching Santa Claus. He really does become Santa Claus. And in this, I would say the same thing about Art Carney. At first, it's okay, that's Art Carney. Towards the end of this, it's like, that's not Art Carney. That's Santa Claus. And it's really well done. It's similar, I always say, to Heath Ledger. That's not Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. That's the Joker. That's him, where you almost lose an actor in the role of the character they're playing, as they play it so damn well. And Art Carney is great in this. I think it was smart, instead of doing a malicious and evil twist, they do a kind of warm-hearted and fun twist. Of course, this old man, he comes up to Art Carney and he says, you gave out to everybody, but the only person you forgot was yourself. I mean, what did you get yourself? Nothing? And he goes, I did get something myself. I became the biggest gift giver of all time, and that's what I wanted. And he puts the sack over him. He's walking to the alley, and he sees the sleigh and the reindeer and an elf. Hey, Santa, we've got some work to do if we're going to be ready for next year. He gets in the sleigh, doesn't question it, nothing. Just kind of just flies off into the heavens. As Rod Serling gives us our comforting, narration, there's surely nothing mightier than the meek. Merry Christmas from the Twilight Zone. Very cool episode. Very different if you're a fan of this show and you know this show. Because it takes the holiday. It takes the Rod Serling commentary on the holiday, the horrors of the holiday, which is funny. You wouldn't think, but it's in there, and in a lot of ways, if you listen to the rant, it's almost like what Black Christmas is. Like, it's almost like Black Friday, I meant to say, people shoving each other out of the way and barging through and stuff like that. That's very much, Black Friday. And before Black Friday even was a thing. But this is a really good one, and around the time, this was like 10 years or so after Miracle on 34th Street. This is almost like the Miracle on 34th Street with the Twilight Zone twist on it. And then, years later, Bad Santa was the comedic twist on this. And, it's funny. There's a few things that are kind of derivative of this, and this is derivative of. But I think this is a damn good episode. This was directed by, I believe, it was Jack Smite, who I believe he also directed Lateness of the Hour, which was another shot on video one, which is funny. Like, this poor guy, I mean, he made 3 or 4 Twilight Zones, and 2 of them were not even shot on film. Like, I couldn't imagine how tough it must have been to shoot that. Now, fun fact about this, I share a birthday with this episode. This episode debuted December 23rd, 1960. The night of the Meek debuted. That's my birthday, crazy enough. So I have the same when this how many years would it be for this episode? 51. Would it be 51 years? No, it'd be 61 years. 61 years this episode turns this December 23rd. Your boy will be turning 25. So pretty crazy. It's cool to share a birthday with this one. Now I've heard people say that this is the greatest Twilight Zone episode. Like Will. I don't necessarily think that. I don't know if it's the greatest, but it's one of the best in the terms of it's very warm-hearted. It's very lighthearted and very enjoyable. There's not much like heavy here. I mean, you have the emotional opening, the kids crying and Art Carney almost crying, giving his performance as this drunk department store Santa, and then it has this really nice heart to it as it wraps up. Again, it's funny with Christmas. With Christmas, it can get very sappy and over sentimental. I mean, the Buffy episode and this one. I mean, you get sappiness in here. So if you're more of I want to avoid that sappy shit, I'll leave that for Hallmark. I'll leave that for, It's a Wonderful Life, or, whatever Christmas holiday movies you're into that are even non-horror. If you want to put those to the side, I understand that. But I think these are cool horror alternatives that they have those sentimental things that the holiday season brings, but they also have the horror elements too. So they kind of mesh this and the Buffy episode. And then with, Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Darkside, Seasons of Belief, and All Through the House, those are two that, I think are very much straightforward holiday horror. There's not much cheese or over sentimentalness in any of those. And I think that's for the better. I think that's for the better of the holiday, in my humble opinion, like the better of those particular episodes and series. Now, if I was to rank these four, this is tough. Because I was like, I don't know if I want to rank them. This is tough, man. I don't know. I would probably say Amends. This is tough. And All Through the House, Night of the Meek. Yeah, Night of the Meek, Seasons of Belief. In that order, I think those four. But they're all fantastic. I mean, I highly recommend you guys watch these if you have not already. I think they're really excellent. And this was something that I wanted to do. I was like, well, I got to think outside the box. Like, I was originally going to do another winter theme episode, like winter themed horror. And then those may be coming. But I figured television TV horror would be something that I haven't done. And when they're as quality as this, it was fun to do. 100 years before I was born. I don't know about that, but yeah, no, it's crazy. 61 years old this episode's going to turn this coming December 23rd, which is crazy. And we'll be celebrating the birthday on the graveyard. That is actually a Thursday. It's 2 weeks from tonight. So that we'll be celebrating number 25 on the graveyard. I won't give away what we're doing yet, but it's going to be very fun. Yep, Santa and cheese, baby. Santa and cheese. It goes together. I think Santa loves his cheese. That's just me, though. But as for the next couple of weeks, and if anybody wants to talk about anything, we can, because I don't usually wrap this early, but I can tonight. I mean, it's okay. I do want to talk about, however, what we have planned coming up. Now, if you have seen Secret Santa from 2015, I believe, 2015, 2016 era, if you've seen that movie, prepare yourself, because we got some awesome things coming. Number one, Corey Kingney Gore and I will be doing a one-time edition only of Wintertime Slashing. That will be coming up. We're going to be recording that this coming weekend, so I'm really excited about that. Of course, if you watched our Summertime Slashing series, we did 8 slasher movies that take place during the summer. This one, we're going to be discussing Secret Santa that takes place during the winter, of course. We'll have a new intro, a new review, and all that good stuff. Also, I have reached out to the director of the film Secret Santa, and that director actually got back to me today, and he said he would love to come on the show for an interview discussing his movie and Christmas horror as a whole and his career and all that good stuff. So he agreed. Now, I initially was shooting for next Thursday to do that, so as long as that's cool with him, we'd be good to go. He just hasn't given me the green light on what day yet. So stay tuned for that. If another day during the week works better for him, we'll be doing the show on that day. So we're going to try to, level it out there. But that's, down the road. We don't know yet. Hopefully next Thursday, I hope. Missed the beginning. What is Amends from? Amends is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We actually, we discussed 4 tonight. We discussed And All Through the House, Tales from the Crypt, Amends from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Night of the Meek, Twilight Zone, and Seasons of Belief from Tales from the Darkside. So 4 Yuletide horror TV classics. Better get your rap ready. Oh, yeah. No, I've already got the winter theme written. It's going to be a lot of fun. I give you the opening line. Winter time and it's fucking chilly. That's the opening line. That's all I will reveal on the show here tonight. But yeah, no, me and Corey will be collaborating for that as a little Christmas present for everybody. I believe he posted on his channel too that we're going to be doing a little collaboration again for the Wintertime Slash. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, unless anybody else has anything they want to mention in here or discuss on here, we can call it. It's no big deal. And this has got to be up there for one of the shortest Grande's Graveyard episodes. Very rarely do we barely break an hour. But I guess that's the thing too, talking TV horror, because you're talking about like three of them are like 20 minutes, and then the Buffy episode's like 45 minutes. So not a lot of material there, but short and sweet, celebrating the holiday as always. My Steelers are also on Thursday Night Football, so I'll be watching them as soon as we wrap here. Hopefully we whip the Vikings ass and get the 7 wins tonight. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, no. Cold is my shrinking Willie. Oh my God. Cold is my shrinking Willie. And Corey's on the microphone with Grande G. I mean, that would be amazing. We initially, when that ended, I was like, 2 questions: next summer and winter. Do you want to do one in the winter? And he was like, winter for sure. Let's do one in the winter, And Secret Santa was always the movie. All right. I don't know what the fuck happened, but my Wi-Fi just crashed and fucking burned. So I'm using my cellular data on my fucking cell phone now. Um, Night Gallery, Messiah on Mott Street. Now, Tom, that is one that I've never seen, believe it or not. That's what when I was doing show prep, I was like, all right, I want to do 4. I passed that and I was like, imagine if I did that. But honestly, I don't own the Night Gallery. I don't know where to watch it. So I didn't do that. But if you recommend, man, I trust your horror opinion. Oh, I thought you died by the hands of, oh, wait, I can't say its name. It will get me. Yeah, no, maybe the Grither. It crashed my Wi-Fi. I don't know. It's been a long time since my Wi-Fi fucking crashed live on the show. I mean, I think the last time it happened was during the aquatic horror, the aquatic retrospective, when I discussed the 6 aquatic horror movies from 1989. That was the last time my Wi-Fi crashed like this. I don't know what the fuck happened. Like, I'm trying to reconnect on here, but it's like, oh, you're like, if my cellular data wasn't working, the show would have been rest in pepperonis, unfortunately. I'll try one more time to upload it on here, but if not, we can call it because we did discuss everything we wanted to discuss. I just got home, missed most of it, but I will watch it all later after catching the tail if your Wi-Fi will stay on. yeah, no, man. Red Rusty, rock on, brother. Cheers to you tonight. I see you've been doing the Scream retrospective. That's been awesome. I didn't catch the whole show last night, but you did Scream 2, which was pretty cool. Yeah, no, I'm trying here. I'm trying to upload this, but if not, we can call it because I did discuss everything. But you know, Tom, that intrigues me. I definitely want to watch the Night Gallery episode. We might be okay. Let's see. Redirect MSFT Connect. What the heck, man? This is like my Wi-Fi crashed. Oh, I think we might be good. We might be good. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. Imagine. Okay, my Wi-Fi loaded. So hold on. Let me go back. Let me get here. www.google. Anybody want to know my secret? I go to Google before I get on this son of a bitch. Wait, why is it signed me out of my account though? What the fuck? This is so weird. It signed me out of my Gmail account. By God. What is everybody else watching this holiday season? In the meantime, I mean, I feel terrible about this. This is like first time it's happened in a while. StreamYard. We're almost there, ladies and gents. We're on the Google home screen. StreamYard. Still have 4 people watching. This is crazy. My internet crashes. We still got 4 people in this goddamn son of a bitch. The show will go on, by God. Although not for long. I'm not planning on going on too much longer. It'd be funny if I'm live on this and on this. So okay, enter studio. Let's see. Grither Grande, baby. Is my microphone not working? Nope, it's working. I think we're in. Look at this. We've got double me. Yo, this is mad funny. Okay, hold on. Let me get out of it in this. Okay, so that was weird. That was like when Jimmy Neutron and fucking Timmy Turner crossed over or something. That was bizarre. Better Watch Out, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Black Christmas, the OG in the 06, my 4 favorite Christmas horror films. Great picks. I think I discussed all of those except Better Watch Out last winter time season on the show. So I love those movies. Great picks. Double Trouble. Yeah, I also like ones I love. I love P2. I love Dead End. That's a good one. I love The Lodge. That's a really good Christmas horror movie. Christmas Evil is another one. I'm a huge fan of all of those. Two Grande. Yeah, no, it was, I don't know, bizarre. Blackhawks up 2-0 is what I'm watching. How are my Steelers, by God? How are they doing? I need to know. But yeah, no, and Aiden was mentioned before in his thing, the Waffle Bot, Harold and Kumar Christmas, which I watch every Christmas. I mean, I love, like, I'd never seen it. I was a late bloomer with that movie, but now that I've seen it, I love Harold and Kumar Christmas. It's a lot of fun. I think it was initially shot in 3D, which is interesting. But yeah, no, I really like that movie too. Christmas Vacation, probably Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo. That's probably my favorite Christmas movie, like comedy. That's definitely the one. I'm watching P2 again. I love that film. I watched P2 last night. I watch it every single December, I think. And I put up a poll on Instagram. And Instagram, it was 16 votes to 16 votes. I asked, is this the best horror movie, the Christmas horror movie of the 21st century? You got 16 votes of yes, 16 votes of no. So very interesting. Twins of Evil. Yeah, I know. Imagine if I had an evil twin. My evil twin would be like a vegan who like hated meat and comedy and humor, and I don't know, like that would be my evil twin. Another good one, American Horror Story, Unholy Night. Dude, now you may be the undead of night, and this is maybe an unholy night. But you pulled out now not one but two that I haven't fucking seen. This is amazing. Now I'll add this to my list. I'll be honest, American Horror Story, I've had a hard time getting into it over the years. But again, I guess I'll have to ask the dumb question. If I watched the episode by itself, would I need to watch anything else before it? Like, can I watch it just standalone? Harold and Kumar Christmas is amazing. It's my favorite sequel in the series. That's tough, man. That or Escape from Guantanamo Bay. Escape from Guantanamo Bay is a lot of fucking fun, too. I don't know. Maybe it's the best sequel. Like, Rolling and Kumar Go to White Castle is my favorite, like by a mile. Like, I like that one the best. But I don't know which my favorite sequel of the two. I love them both. I think Guantanamo Bay I love because it's more about Kumar, whereas 1 and 3, it's more arcs for Harold. 2 is the only one that's the arc for Kumar. And I really love Kumar Patel. I like him. I think he's what makes that duo work. But I don't know. I do love I think some of the humor in the Christmas one is great. Like, I love when they're at the party and when they meet Rothstein at the fucking White Castle and you owe me 79 cents for that jalapeno cheeseburger. And the fucking guy's still teasing him. He's like, see, you may have converted, but you're still P2 is phenomenal. So underrated. I love that movie. Frank Calhoun does a great job. Alexandria Audra, Frank Calhoun need to collaborate one more time. That would be amazing. Frank Calhoun went on to do some good stuff. I really liked the Amityville movie he did. I really liked the Maniac remake, which me and AJ talked about on here. I really like Frank Calhoun. I think he does some good stuff. But yeah, no, those are definitely all some really good ones. I highly recommend if anybody hasn't seen The Lodge. That one, I herald that movie. But I might, you know what I'll do? I'll make a Christmas playlist. From last Christmas and this Christmas, and we'll, make a big playlist of all like holiday/winter themed horror movies. And, I'll make a playlist. So if anybody's interested in movies that I didn't talk about tonight, maybe I have talked about them in the past. So we can do that. But yeah, I guess that'll be all for the show tonight. We had a very fun discussion on here, talking all things Christmas TV horror. I want to thank everybody that joined. We had a really good, fun time. I apologize about my Wi-Fi at the end crashing and burning. I don't know why. It just picks and chooses sometimes randomly. But I'm glad I got through the main meat and potatoes, and then during the dessert, the thing goddamn crashed. I don't know. Next week, hope to be back with the director from Secret Santa, of course. Working on that, getting that interview for the show. He'd be the first person of, a filmmaking background to be a guest on The Graveyard. So that'll be something really cool. I normally just have guests on, but this would be really cool to get somebody who's actually made a horror film and a damn fun one in Secret Santa in that. So, I'll be working on that. Until then, everybody have a wonderful, safe weekend. Keep it creepy, keep it beautiful. And we will catch you next time only on The Graveyard. Too sweet, peace, and we'll catch you next time. Rock on, man. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Rock on, brother. Too sweet.